How you doing, Tyrell? In this episode of Off Duty Ground, we have KiJana Prowant with us. All right. So she's a special guest today, and she's a U.S. Air Force veteran who's the founder of Project Still, a new organization joining the fight to combat veteran homelessness. How you doing, KiJana?
I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I'm good. All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your time in the military.
So I went into the Air Force after working with MEPS for a year because I was going in with the GED. And I went in October 2015, got out May 2019. And I was a personnelist in the Air Force, and I did a lot of force management. So I helped point commanders, helped the special duty pay program at JBSA Lackland. And where we worked at, it was under Lackland, Randolph, and Fort Sam. So I got to meet a lot of everybody from every base, and I got to interact with everyone that was incoming active duty from the Air Force side. So it was a great job.
How long did you serve? You said about 4 years?
Almost 4 years, about 3 years, 7 months.
3 years. All right.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about Project Still.
So Project Still is, as you said, a new organization helping combat veteran homelessness. Its goal is to create and erect veteran villages, safe communities for these veterans to have their downtime and get used to having a more stable lifestyle, including having valuable resources, such as credit counseling and, mental health counseling through a lot of volunteers we will be getting from the colleges, from their medical students that volunteer. They'll be helping us out as well. And then one of the two of the major projects of Project Still is our restaurant, and also our Veteran Crisis Rapid Response Team, which is basically an outreach team we'll have an ambulance, we'll have our vehicles with lights, and whenever the local police departments encounter a veteran in distress, they'll be able to call on us because we'll be trained to actually interact with a veteran going through an episode of PTSD that, normally they wouldn't be prepared to because their focus isn't on that. So we want to help get everything safer in our city for our vets.
Okay. What inspired you to start Project Still and help like this?
So when I was in the Air Force, I got stationed here at Lackland, I would always see veterans with their signs. And whenever I had time, I would stop off in the morning time. I'd go get them breakfast, take them to Walgreens, drop them off at the hotel right down from base. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do more. So I started donating to the projects that they had to help homeless veterans. And there aren't many for a permanent solution. So my husband and I, we always had this plan to build tiny homes for veterans and have them live on our ranch.
Okay.
But I wanted to actually start doing that because as I looked into organizations like that, I said, if I can't do it, let me support an organization who does it. And there actually isn't one. So I was like, it's time to get one started. At least there isn't one on this caliber. There is one in Georgia, but it's not like this one. So like, okay, we're in San Antonio, Texas. We're in Military City, USA. I think we'll get a lot of support here. Where I live at, they're selling a lot of land. And I was like, you know what? Let's take advantage of that and get this started.
It's definitely a noble cause. So what do you say to people that say like homeless veterans must be homeless because they got kicked out or they can't find a job or why don't they just use VA resources or something like that? What do you have to say to them?
I would say to them, then why don't you reach out to that veteran and find out exactly what's going on? Because, people make mistakes. Right. But no one is short of grace. So a lot of the homeless veterans that we have are post-Vietnam veterans. They're the majority of the statistic. And then we have some that their discharge date was between 2003 and 2007, one of the worst wars we entered into after 9/11 for our current generations. And what happens to those people is they lose their jobs, or they weren't able to get help with their injuries through the Department of Veteran Affairs, because the disability process is actually a long process. So if you're fresh out of the military, you know, a lot of resumes say you're an infantryman and you went to all these deployments. This is what you know how to do. A lot of times they'd rather choose someone that's going to have less of a risk or less of a liability for their companies. So there's a big stigma behind combat veterans when they come out of the military. So mostly what's only available to them to give them chances are Walmart, the police department, maybe the fire department. So you want to find out why those veterans are going through that. And just because they got kicked out doesn't mean that they're a bad person. The military can be really strict sometimes. Sometimes they may have some bad issues. Like, for instance, I got out because I got carbon monoxide poisoning. If I put on my application, I'm a disabled vet, I applied to over 50 jobs before and none of them would take me. So it's not always an issue that they can control. And I would ask those people to abandon the mentality right now, because we just had what happened with COVID. COVID shut down so many businesses, and a lot of people lost their jobs. And I'm thankful for the eviction memorandum that they put out that people can't get evicted, but not all landlords listen to that. I know a couple people that still got evicted because they had bills to pay. Yeah. You know, so we want to abandon that mentality, and we want to make sure that the primary thing we think of when we see a vet is, how can I help? Let somebody else dive into their circumstances if you don't have the time to, but no one is short of grace. So to not forget that.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So like you said, you was thinking about this while you were serving as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been doing Project Still? Because we saying it's a new company.
We officially got incorporated on the 29th of March. Because when I got my stimulus money, I didn't want it to go to waste. So my best friend who's on the board with me, she was like, you know, why don't you take that money and put it towards a mobile home and put it on some land for a vet? And I was like, you know, we can do one better. Let's get the organization started. So, you know.
What was the process like to get it's a nonprofit, correct?
Yes.
What's the process like for that?
So firstly, you have to get your EIN. And when you go to irs.gov and you type in EIN, it brings you to an online platform. And it's hard for me to come words because my first language is Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes I'm trying to find the words, but it comes out with an online application. And the first thing you got to get is your EIN, because that's going to be your tax identifiable number. That's going to show that you're a nonprofit organization. It's going to be it's going to be pretty much the name of your organization when you're bringing in money. Then you're going to want to find a reputable service like LegalZoom or Swift Filings to file your incorporation. And that takes, I got expedited, which was quite a bit of money. So it only took me about 5 days to get that incorporation. When you get that, you're going to get your certificates. You're going to get a certificate of formation with your local Secretary of State to show that you're an official charity. And the third and final step, which we're doing, we're having a little bit of difficulty with, is the 501c3 filing. It's a 1023. Right now, there's two versions. The one version we filed is going to take about 6 to 9 months to be completed because of the delays with the stimulus checks and the taxes. So we're taking the 1023 easy. So those are the top three things: the EIN, the incorporation. You get all your paperwork with that you'll need to give to donors who want to ask about the validity, and then your 501c3. Okay. And when you get the 501c3, it's going to take a long time, but luckily it's retroactive to the date of incorporation. So if someone's willing to donate while it's pending, you're going to give them a tax receipt at the end of your fiscal year.
Oh, okay. Good. Thanks. I appreciate it. So name Project Still. Still is like an acronym, right?
Yes.
What's STEAL stand for? How'd you come up with that?
Strategically take and extradite to an alternate location.
Oh, okay.
I actually got that from a friend of mine who's been in the Marine Corps for about 8 or 9 years now. Mm-hmm. And He was like, doing Operation Steel. We used to do Operation Steel. And I'm like, what is that? And I looked it up, and it was like Operation Strategically Take and actually to an alternate location. And it'd be missions where they'd go out and they'd take the injured soldiers and move them to a different location to keep them from under fire.
Oh,
And so I basically linked it and made a parallel between veteran homelessness, because technically they're under fire just at home because they're dealing with the difficulties of not being able to access their phones, their funds, get any help. So we want to take them off the street and put them in an alternate location, which is basically a permanent and safe environment. And we have to do it strategically, because a lot of the companies I see that help out, they just do deposits on the apartments. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but veteran homelessness is not a one size fits all. So we have to do it strategically. We have to make sure we plan it out well, because we can't just pick them up off the street, bring them into a home, and then not address the actual issues.
True. I get you. So that's definitely great. So how are you getting the word out about your business?
So I've been on Facebook, and when I can, I use the promotional tools to get the word out. I've asked my friends and family to share. When I was on the Facebook, I pretty much started messaging, and I'm still doing it to this day. Like every day I have a list of pages to DM. Okay. So I'll go to those pages and I'll DM them like, hey, can we get some support? We want to get some board ambassadors. We'd love if you shared this. And we'd send out a message with our website. And thankfully, TMR was one of the ones to respond. So I commented, I was like, hey, I sent you a DM. And he's such a blessing, because he's like, hey, I get on live 10 a.m. So I went on the next day and I got to tell him. So he's been helping me to get the word out. So it's kind of like playing an accurate game of telephone with a text message, like, people can copy and paste. So.
Yeah. Okay. Who is TMR?
The Marine rapper.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what I saw you at. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really grateful, because I got to meet more people, and more people get out the word when they believe in it. So
yeah, definitely. And you want to talk about the bricks you were doing, the fundraiser?
Yes. So I am doing a brick for sale fundraiser, and I should have brought one with me. Let me go get it if you don't mind. It'll be just a minute. Okay. I got one. So here's our bricks. Okay. Right here.
Okay, veteran fundraiser. Okay.
Yes, I have another one, Project Still on it. It's red. So basically, one of the, I'll say it like this. So for Project Still, we're going to have these veteran villages, and the veteran villages are going to have a temporary sleeping facility to take in vets immediately. We're going to build their tiny homes together as a group. We're going to have a dining hall that has a large living room and recreational area. And then we're going to have a memorial garden. This is where I want the veterans to reflect and be able to just take time, walk around, smell the flowers. And in the memorial garden, there's going to be a flagpole. And on the flagpole, of course, there's going to be stepping stones around the flagpole. So with those stepping stones, we wanted to do memorial bricks. We wanted to do a memorial section where we have 5 pillars, one representing each branch of the military. And on those pillars, we're going to have our black sugar tiles, and they kind of look like granite, and they're about 8 by 8, and for the bigger messages. And then all on our pavements, we wanted to do these bricks, not only so that other people can submit their loved ones' names permanently in our memorial section, because on the pillars, on the ground, we'll have the names of all those we lost to war, and we lost to the internal war, depression, PTSD. Okay. Because everybody has an honorable spot. And then on our regular pathways, we're encouraging people, hey, type a short and sweet inspirational message, because you never know if a veteran's going to be walking down. And when you're in a bad place and you're walking, what's the first place you really look? You look down. So why not give them a walkway of inspirational messages from the citizens and the patriots that love them and thank them for their service, so that they can see they're never actually forgotten, because your message may touch that one vet who's hanging on by a final thread. Yeah. So we thought this would be the first fundraiser, because the ground is always going to be the first foundation. We want to do these bricks.
Yeah, that's excellent. How'd you come up with that? That's very creative.
Because I thought about painting messages on bricks, and my friend said they actually engrave bricks. And I was like, is that how they do it? So I went and I Googled it, and I saw that there's a company that actually does it to where it's not just painted, it's actually permanently etched and carved into stone. Like it'll weather the storms.
Yeah.
Unless you take a sledgehammer to it. So I said, okay, then let's do this.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Great. So what's it like running Project Still? Like, what do you find yourself doing on a day-to-day basis?
I would say it's exciting. It's filled with a lot of emotions, and it's starting a nonprofit, especially of this type, is not for the faint of heart. I actually had a vet I was speaking to give me advice and insight on what it's like to be a homeless veteran. And I think the hardest moment for Project Still that drove me even further was he committed suicide. And it was about 3 weeks ago. And I was so heartbroken, but he couldn't deal with it because when COVID hit, the VA shut down their in-person mental health appointments, and they only did it by telephone, and he was homeless at the time. So he did what he could to heal himself. But unfortunately, he lost that battle to say he had to end his pain. So it drove me even further. And one thing I realized is having a nonprofit like this, you're going to try to help someone, but some people may not want to be helped. Some people may try to make themselves feel better in certain ways that you don't agree with. And it's going to be some emotional moments, especially when we have our veteran crisis response team. So when you start a nonprofit like this, it's filled with emotions. And then it's even more difficult for us out here because in San Antonio, the Californians are moving in because we just built the Microsoft Data Point Center and they need to fill it their employees. So right now it's a cash buyer's market. So while last year the land was cheaper, what was a $300,000 plot of land is now a $600,000 plot of land. So that's been one of the major challenges. But I tell myself every day, if they can take the challenge and go out and stand in the hot sun, stand in the rain, stand in the snow to try to get money to live, then I can handle every single difficulty that's being given to me.
That's good. Is that, would you say that's one of your biggest challenges is the emotional factors, or are there some other big challenges?
No, the biggest challenge is getting the word out, getting the donations, and getting the land. Because not a lot, since we're the only type in San Antonio, we can't find anybody that's actually dealt with, selling property for a nonprofit under the nonprofit. Because one of the biggest things I want to do is I want to get people's trust and I want to keep it. So for instance, one realtor is like, hey, just get the land under your name and it'll be easier that way. And then you'll get a lot of value. It'll help your credit and you're making the payments. I said, no, I don't want to do this to benefit me. I'm sorry. That's why I have such difficulty because I don't grift. I can't just do bad things for the sake of getting the mission done. Because at the end of the day, it's going to come bite me in the butt. So we're having to figure out how we're going to acquire the land. And they said, if you do commercial, it's 20 to 30% down now versus it used to be 15% down because our market increased. So that's the biggest challenge, just getting that foundation down. But the emotion part, it's okay because, when you're in the military, hurry up and wait. I just got to hurry up and wait. Take one step at a time,
So if people want to donate or say buy a brick, what do they do?
So I am going to release a order form on the website tonight. Monday, the brick people that we're using, they're going to make an official website, but we thought I can start because at the end of the day, when you submit an order, it comes to me. I'm the one that has to process it and take in the money anyways and then pay them. So I said, okay, why not just come up with my own order form? So I'll be releasing an order form tonight around 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then I'm going to make a post on Instagram and share it. And there you can just fill out the order form and you go back to our website and you'll be able to attach it. And go to the other site and pick logo if you want a logo. And then you pay through where you donate. Because, it's kind of a trade for a donation. This happens. So we'll have a donate button. And it's on the first page of projectstill.org.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm about to include more information on it, and that's how you can purchase a brick. Now, if you want to just donate, and I tell everyone because a lot of people are apprehensive about donating because they think they can only do the large amounts that they see. But even if you have $5, you can donate.
Yeah.
If you're willing to give that, no donation is too small. And no donation is too big. You can just go to projectstill.org and you can donate straight from there.
Donate. So I'll be donating. So,
thank you so much.
And I'll share your post as soon as you share it. I'll share it out as well.
Okay, we're doing shout outs too. For every time we get a donation, we're making a personalized shout out to those people. And also we're releasing our business. So basically for the businesses that want to do break it for their businesses, their prices are a little higher.
Okay.
Of course, because it's like free advertising for life. But we're about to release also, if you ever want to share the word, our sponsorship packages where it's like certain amounts and you get certain things for your business, marketing wise. Like we're going to get t-shirts made. So every time a person donates, they get a t-shirt, and the organizations that donated are going to be on those t-shirts. When we get our banners, those organizations are going to be on those.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Sounds good.
Telling everybody.
Yep.
Text a friend and say, hey, can you donate $5 right now? Send the link,
Will do. Definitely. So what are your goals, or like, what is there end goal? Is there a time when you'll say like, I'm done, I fulfilled my mission, or is there no end goal?
My end goal is actually just to keep going. When there's no more homeless veterans and when we get some legislation changed and some protection for them while they're waiting for their disability, then I can say I'll be satisfied enough to back off, but I'm never going to bow out unless the Lord takes me early. And I would say the ultimate goal is to get them homed. And give them a permanent space. Because with Project Still, it's not just about them building a home and getting into it. It's about supporting them medically. We're going to have Doctors Without Borders coming out to give them counseling every week. And there's going to be days where you can set up appointments. And there's so many medical students that are willing to give their time and volunteer. So we're going to get them mental health, and we're going to set up companies that they can work at, so we can be that understanding employer that's saying, hey, you're not feeling good today, your anxiety is getting the worst of you, okay, we have other people that come into work. Because mental health, and it's May, Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health will make or break somebody. Our bodies do not matter if our minds are not okay. So the goal is to have, especially get these suicides down, because a veteran spends about 6 years on the street before they take their lives. So I feel like by doing this, we'll be able to give hope, because it's not just for those homeless veterans. It's for those veterans that, hey, I'm not feeling good. I want to take my life, but I don't want to go to the VA hospital. I don't want to be locked up and treated like I'm crazy. I just need help. Right. This is going to be a secure place for them to come.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think I asked you before, like, this is like a very noble cause. So it's like, how'd you even think to like reach out to some of the people you're reaching out to? How'd you even think of that? Like,
I just know that I can never do anything alone. If I try to do this alone, it's not going to work. Yeah. And it's not about me. And so, I kind of blush when people say it's a noble cause. And I always think, I just want to help because they're my predecessors. Right. They took the brunt of the force before we had to. They stood in until it was our turn. So why aren't we helping? And I see so many people that, and I hate to say this, but it's how I honestly feel. I see so many people supporting causes that are going to different stuff. And I'm like, we're starting these, and I'm not saying they're bad. No organization is bad when it wants to help. But just for me personally, when I see, for instance, like my friend held a fundraiser where she raised $25,000 for a different country that didn't have water. And I'm like, Flint still doesn't have water. They're here. Right. We're people want to help, and that's amazing, but we're helping other countries when we still have these issues here. We can't keep pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be shy. I'm not going to be hesitant. I need help, and I know I can't do this alone. You can't ever accomplish any mission. I've never, even when my husband's deployed, he had a flight with him.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything if you're by yourself. So that's why I was like, I'm not scared to reach out to anybody. I'm gonna say, hey, you're a big person. You know, when it comes to asking for donations, I said I'm going to contact every single celebrity, every radio host, every company, and it has to be done, because all they can say is no, but you never know if it's going to be a yes if you don't try.
True. Yep. That's a great mindset, and it's great action that you're taking. So, what resources are you reading or watching to help grow you, or just grow your mindset?
I look at a lot of nonprofits. I basically read on their missions, and I write down what's missing. A resource that's been really helpful to me, and I know it sounds funny, but it's YouTube. And it's not just about running a nonprofit, because the issue is I can't read much because there's not a nonprofit like this that's doing this much, you know? So I look at others, and I kind of take from every single nonprofit I see, and I apply it, and then I see where I can apply something new that they don't have. And watching, and I'll cry all day. I watch all these videos on homeless veterans who are helped out, what their issue was, how they were helped, what they needed, and I write it all down. I have like a notebook where I write the issues down, and that's my sources. And I say, okay, this is what needs to be done for them. How can we get this?
Yeah.
So I try to listen to their words as guidance to me, because they've been there. I haven't been there.
Right.
A lot of the board members you see from many organizations have not been there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been homeless before, but younger, not as a veteran. So that they're my major resource, and I'm so thankful to them.
It's like kind of like targeting your market is like finding out what your market needs from them, as opposed to someone else's word of mouth. So that's great. That's great. So what would you say to people that's trying to that want to help as well, or want to start a business, or want to start a nonprofit? What would you say to those people? Like, any advice or anything?
I would say, before you do it, write everything down. While you're doing it, every thought. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a 9 to 5. You have a 24/7, because sometimes you might have a thought at 3 a.m. and I'll get up at 3 a.m. and I'll go to my phone and I'll start writing in notes for the restaurant. I'll start writing notes for, the village. And always write. Make sure you're doing everything legally, because the temptation is there. And make sure you read thoroughly, because like the 1023, our 501c, it tells you can't support political candidates. And I had someone that was an advisor for one of the presidential candidates coming up saying, hey, we'll support you, but we want you to push us. I legally cannot do that.
Yeah.
And then also I don't want to do that, because, every veteran, every person that rose their right hand, they all supported something differently. They all had different religions. Right. I'm not going to target one area for money, And there was an investor. He said, hey, we'll give you this amount of money, but we want 70%. And then they were like, okay, if we do 70%, this is what we require. We want this cut out. We want this cut out. We want this cut out.
Yeah.
So follow your instincts. Get your EIN. Make sure you're incorporated. The organization you want to start, look for other organizations like that, and find out how it fits your area and what can be done. This nonprofit hopefully is the blueprint for others. I hope that Project Still can expand, and one day a person calls, say, hey, I want to start a village out here. We'll pass on the blueprints. We're not going to gatekeep. So make sure you're as informed as possible. Okay. And like I said, write your notes down. If you can write it and rewrite it, write it again.
Yeah. So what I like most about what you're doing, like you're giving people a place to stay, and I ain't know about the restaurant you was talking about. So
yeah, so we don't want to rely completely on donations because some people may not. Some days may be different than others. So we wanted to start a restaurant, and I got the business plan through, and that's a for-profit entity that's going to be under Project Still, but the money will completely revolve back in, and there may be some seasons we may go through, a recession or some sort where people actually have, their pockets are a little tighter and they have to focus on other things. So we wanted to not only give them a place to be employed and their guaranteed employment, we wanted to make sure we had money continuously coming in. Like, we're not just doing the food truck, we're doing, not the restaurant. We're not just doing the restaurant. Oop, I let that out. We're doing the food truck, So luckily some of the donations that come in, they're going to help us set up that food truck that we're going to take some veterans and they're going to come and go ahead, work for us and go, and we'll start getting them money. Okay. And it'll be able to say Project Still, and it'll get the word out and give some good barbecue because everybody loves good barbecue.
Everybody loves good. Yeah. I love good barbecue.
Yeah.
So if people are trying to reach you, again, where do they go?
So you can go to projectstill.org and you send me an email when you go on. You can give the email updates, and as we update our site, we'll send the email letting you know, like, hey, this is what's going on with Project Still. If you ever want to be a committee member, a board member, board ambassador, or a volunteer, you go to prospective board members page and you'll be able to write a message to me and fill out your skills. You can always message us on Facebook at Project Still, Twitter at Project Still 2, and then of course Instagram Project Still. Okay. So if you look on any social media platform, Project Still will be right there.
Project Still, and it's S.T.E.A.L, right?
Yes.
All right. Cool.
Like, we are stealing them away from homelessness.
So we coming to a close. Is there anything at all that you want to say? You free to say anything you want to say.
I would just like to thank everyone who's willing to hear and support our cause. I would really request, to donate. No donation's too small. It's about the heart. When it comes to donating, spread the word, text people. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I sent my website to everybody in my phone, and it's not many people, so I need to make more friends. But so just sharing this, because this mission cannot be done without you. Not only you, Chief, but also anybody who's watching. It can't be done without you. Everybody's a helping hand, because one thing we have to remember with our current political climate is that at the end of the day, those enemies on the outside don't see left or right. They don't see black or white. They just see a soldier that's wearing a uniform that says U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force. They have the American flag on their arm. That's the enemy, no matter who that person is. So we have to remember, when they come home, we need to make it to where we're gratuitous for them for deploying and being out there, because a lot of us can't do that.
Yeah. I appreciate you. And again, I'm going to say that's KiJana Prowant. All right. So she's the owner, the founder of Project Still. Again, she's joined the fight to combat veteran homelessness. Thanks again, KiJana.
Thank you, Terrell.
All right.